Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I'm recording. On 28th of August, Mars is entering Sidereal Gemini, and he will be in Gemini until 22nd of October. So this is what I will be discussing with you now. Um, After that, I will be looking at the 12 ascendants, how the presence of Mars will influence the 12 ascendants. Now, of course, this is from sidereal perspective. This is the true placement of Mars. Like when you look at the sky, this is what you will see. This is the what the sidereal astrology is about. So lucky for us, Mars is leaving Taurus. Why I say lucky? Because he created quite intense atmosphere when he was conjoined Uranus and Jupiter, because he was forming a very big T square on the sky. Saturn was also squaring Uranus, Jupiter, Mars in Taurus. Saturn was squaring, and this particular square actually, I described in a good detail in my previous videos. So if you like, take a look. This was quite intense with serious impact on markets, on finances, uh, very intense, and it was part of a big cycle which started in 2020, 20th January to 2020, when Saturn and Jupiter formed their great conjunction. Then now in August was the timing of the square between Saturn and Jupiter, and Mars, who we discuss now, was participating in this square only to intensify the situation with his presence. But I discussed this quite in detail in my previous video. So on 28th of August, Mars is entering Gemini. What is he going to do in Gemini? First of all, what is the presence of Mars in Gemini? How powerful is he? Well, not very powerful, because Mars is ruling Aries, Mars is the ruler of Scorpio, and in Gemini, he doesn't have any particular dignity. He's also not fallen. He is just a passenger, so to say, and this in astrology we call peregrine. Mars is peregrine without particular power, actually, and almost until the end of his transit, especially in September, he will be still squaring Venus, which will have very deep impact on people's emotions. Keep this in mind, maybe a little bit. In addition, Mars is almost from the beginning of his entrance in Gemini. He is entering point of importance, and this is the point of the summer solstice for the north hemisphere, or winter solstice for the south hemisphere. But in both cases, this is called tropical point of importance. So everything happening there is important. In addition, Mars, from the perspective of his whether he's joyful or not, in Gemini he's not, because his place of joy is Sagittarius. So this is a little bit tricky position of Mars in Gemini, but certainly is not as critical as he was when he was squared by Saturn. This is very critical situation when Saturn and Mars form a square. Even if Jupiter is there, still this is very critical square. And now on the 28th of August, we will be a little bit relieved, because he's leaving this critical square. But he still will be squaring Venus. And yes, it is important for us to be wise, not to make very emotional decisions, to be patient, and in harmony with um, partners, with people. Also, Gemini is the place of the great twins. These are the place where you have Gilgamesh and Enkidu of the ancients, the Babylonians. This is the place of the two stars, Castor and Pollux. It is a place of two principles. Castor is the principle of spirituality, connection with nature, because in the ancient Babylonian myth, uh, Castor is Gilgamesh, who is related, connected to nature. He is the one who is mortal, the one who died. He was killed. Gilgamesh is the one who is a warrior, one part um, god, three parts human, but still he was the king of Uruk, I think, for hundreds of years, because they lived for hundreds of years at that time. He was a giant, and he was Mars. Basically, the star Pollux, which is represented by Gilgamesh, the king of Uruk, is Mars. So you have these two stars, Castor and Pollux, which are they were best friends, uh, and actually, this is exactly the two maybe extremes, I could say, the one of the nature spirituality and the one which is pure Mars, more in the material world. Pure Mars, the warrior. This was Gilgamesh, ruling warrior. So these are the energies which Mars is meeting while transiting through uh, Gemini. Of course, he will still be squared, especially in September by Mercury, but before that by Neptune, and also the two lunar nodes, Rahu and Ketu, who for the time being will be Rahu in Pisces, head of the dragon in Pisces, tail of the dragon in Virgo. So still, this is very karmic square. Mars somehow will be related to our karma, to us paying the bad karma, to our ambition. So this is also point of this harmony. Mars, even uh, without having um, his dignities in Gemini, and even being a little bit uncomfortable because he's in the point, in the sign where you have the point of the summer solstice. So Mars will be actually not very comfortable in Gemini. Therefore, yes, I will be looking briefly at the 12 ascendants. Why briefly? Because this is general. Of course, if you like to have detailed look, we need to look at your horoscopes. But general, quite general look we can have now, to look at the 12 ascendants and how this presence of Mars in Gemini until 22nd of October will be looking. In addition, Mars is not yet retrograde. To tell you honestly, I am always a little bit worried a little bit attentive, not really worried, because I trust that we create our reality. Um, and but I'm very careful when Mars is retrograde, and retrograde is later on 8th of December. And then certainly we will be analyzing his retrograde motion again. So let's look at the 12 ascendants. So we're starting with people who have sidereal ascendant. Aries, of course. Sorry. Okay. Now for you, Mars is ruling you. Mars is ruling Aries. For you, he is in Gemini, which happens to be your third house. So during especially September, um, yes, he's in Gemini until 27th of October, but things change a little bit in October, because then he will be trining Venus, and especially in the beginning of October, they form exact trine. So this is benevolent for you, because then Venus will be on your descendant. But before that, in September in particular, because 28th of August he's entering uh, sidereal Gemini. So Mars is not afflicted, and this is good for you because while he was in Taurus, he would receive the affliction of Saturn, and this is a little bit afflicting also for your finances, for your social circle, family relationships. But now, when he will be in Gemini, this is actually much better for you, for your communication. Of course, when you depends on Mars, how Mars is placed in your horoscope. You may be a little bit more driven to travel, to study, to some spiritual studies. Make sure that you're making very harmonious, balanced, wise decisions because this could be very strong drive, a little bit disharmonious because, like I told you, Mars in Gemini is not very, very harmonious. Of course, because he receives the trine from Saturn, you will be very practical, especially when it comes to finances, friendships. This can bring peace in your communication with brothers and sisters, can help you choose the right education, but still, in order to make positive for yourself, beneficial decision. Make sure that you're very balanced, that you're not impulsive, especially when it comes to education, communication with, with your brothers and sisters, and travel. There you may need to watch out a little bit. Make decisions based on intuition, calm your mind, and then make your decision. But in general, this is not a malefic presence of Mars for you. So in general, he's influencing also axis of studies. So you can be very driven to certain study and you can get good results. Now we look at people who have. By the way, I forgot to mention people with sidereal ascendant in Aries. This was about you, or Moon in Aries, or if you're following modern tropical astrology, this would be Taurus. And now let's look at people who have sidereal ascendant Taurus or Moon in Taurus. If you're following modern tropical astrology, this is Gemini. For your Mars will be on your second house. He will leave your ascendant on 28th of August to enter your second house to form a trine with your Saturn, and this is good because you already experienced changes, personal changes like. Related to your personal choices in many many areas of your life because of your Uranus who now is on your ascendant. um, Personal choices related to your romantic life, actually everything, career wise, very much, even property, relocations. Actually, Uranus can have impact on almost every area of your life. And now, luckily, Mars moving out of your ascendant. This is relief because this was a lot of tension on your ascendant, and he will be more benevolent for your finances, for your career, for communication with family roots. But make sure that you're very, you know, wise, harmonious when you communicate with family. This is also benevolent, especially in October uh, when it comes to your routine, to people who share your routine environment, then you will have peace and more um, harmonious atmosphere because Mars, Venus, and Saturn form trine related to your routine, to your money, to your career. You may have better results. All right. Let's look at people who have sidereal ascendant Gemini or moon in Gemini. If you follow in modern tropical astrology, this is Cancer. Mars will be on your ascendant from 28th of August to 22nd of October. Especially in September, is a little bit less harmonious because they form square with Venus. He's Anyway, he is on your ascendant where he's not very, very benevolent, but at least he forms trine with Saturn, so he can teach you practicality. You'll be able to be very organized, to make practical decisions. Make sure that you listen to your intuition. Make sure that you listen to the inner voice, which is telling you what to study, how to, which philosophy or spiritual study to follow. This would be very good for you. Be a little bit careful when it comes to career, uh, communication with parents, choosing home for relocation and stuff. Make sure that there you are a little bit more careful, but also make sure that you're more patient, loving, diplomatic in your romantic life, but also with partners. Just there, you may need to be a little bit more careful, but I'm sure that you will be very practical. Your mind will be organized. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Cancer or moon in Cancer. If you're following modern tropical astrology, this is Leo. For you, Mars is on your 12th house, trined by Saturn. They both form interesting figure, which actually can be pushing up your career. Uh, Especially in October, almost the whole month of October, Venus in the fourth house is benevolent for you, trine, which is good for your for home, for career, for mother. Uh, this actually can be it's a big giant grand trine, Mars, Venus, Saturn, which really it's like a pushing up your career. It's certainly supporting your career, but in the meantime, make sure that you're a little bit careful with hidden enemies, how you communicate with people, whom you trust, and make sure that you're very responsible for your health. Responsible for your health. Mars can drive you to, to temples, to pilgrimages, to also to do good deeds for others. This will be very good also remedy for Mars to help others, to help poor people, sick people, and so. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Leo or moon in Leo, or if you're following modern tropical astrology, this is Virgo. For you, Saturn is, as we know, until late December 2025, will be on your descendant, Mars on your 11th house. Um, Actually, watch out a little bit for your social appearance when you make financial decisions. Watch out a little bit for friendships, that you are in harmony with friends, and also, when you make financial decisions, make sure that you are a little bit, how to say, not impulsive. But especially in October, even better time would come because this grand trine then comes into play: Mars, Venus, Saturn, which is benevolent for your work, for your studies, for agreements, and so. Financially, again, I repeat, when you make financial decisions, make sure that you're balanced, that you rely on your intuition, and also with friendships, be a little bit more careful. But in general, yes, in September, be a little bit careful not to make impulsive financial decisions. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Virgo or moon in Virgo, or if you follow in modern tropical astrology, this would be Libra. Now for you, Mars would be on your 10th house. Immediately we see you may need to be careful when it comes to career, superiors, be very diplomatic, be very careful. Of course, Saturn trining your Mars in October, Venus participating in this is benevolent. Like you will have even opportunity to make practical decisions, to come up with practical, let's say, projects, proposals. You may indeed be lucky in this sense. Um, but of course, this is more valid for the second part of October, when the sun will not be afflicted by Mars. But in any case, from the beginning to the end of October, the situation is powerful for you, especially when it comes to career, projects, opportunities, financial ideas, and so. But be diplomatic with superiors, with institutions. There you may need to be a little bit more careful. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Libra or moon in Libra, or if you're following modern tropical astrology, this is Scorpio. For you, Mars is on your ninth house. Ninth house is the house of the guru, a good benevolent house, trine in your ascendant. In September, almost the whole September, Mars and Venus will be in a square, a little bit more malefic, but almost the whole month of October, Mars and Venus are in a trine. Venus, Saturn, Mars trine. So we have a grand trine, which is supporting your personal growth, your personal spiritual awakening of your consciousness. Lucky for finances because Saturn and Venus, from the places where they rule, will be forming a trine. So, in a sense of you can also for lucky finances, gains, also can be benevolent for, especially of course depends on the placement of your natal Saturn and Mars, but this can be benevolent for creative work, creative studies. Brilliant opportunity for you to do this creative study, creative work. Let's say you were talented in something, but you have always been postponing, abandoning. This is brilliant timing for you to revisit your talent. Really very good. You have the Venus blessing, Saturn blessing, and so. Now we have people who have Sidereal Scorpio, Ascendant, Moon in Scorpio, or if you're tropical astrology follower, this is Sagittarius. Mars is ruling your Ascendant. He will be on your 8th house. In September, trying squaring Venus on your 11th. So in September, watch out a little bit for the this square is that you don't make impulsive decisions. Be careful for financially. I mean financially. Be careful when it comes to money from unexpected sources. See if there is nothing tricky there hidden. Because money of your partner. Make sure that you carefully check everything. October is a little bit more benevolent with the trine between Mars, Venus, and Saturn can have impact on your spiritual awakening, on your career for good, actually. Um, Health wise, too, you can come up with good finding solutions related to health. This can also have impact on home situation, property situation for good. Career wise, it also could be benevolent, but in general, but financially be a little bit more careful and make sure that you take good care of your health. uh, yes. Now we look at people who and I feel I didn't also because Mars will be in Gemini in your 8th house. Yes, health, and don't get involved in risky situations, in risky travel, in risky. Be very practical, be very organized. I'm sure you will be with Saturn trine Mars. You feel that that for you it's easier to be organized and to be disciplined more than ever, especially in October, in September too. And now we look at people who have Sagittarius ascendant on Moon in Sagittarius, or if you're following modern tropical astrology, this would be Capricorn. For you, Mars is on your 7th house. I tell you immediately, be careful, diplomatic, loving, responsible, with your in your romantic life, also with partnerships. When you have to sign agreements, make sure that you check everything 2 times, 3 times, that you're very balanced, very wise, especially in October, be more careful. In September, in October, because of the trine of Venus, you're a little bit more, quite more protected. Venus in the 11th, trined by Saturn in Gemini, and tried by Saturn in Aquarius and Mars in Gemini. Actually, this grand trine for you is involving partnership, communication, travel, social circle, your social appearance, and there you have results. Benevolent financially, this could also be very productive, especially when it comes to um, partnerships, agreements. You see, this could be benevolent, but make sure that you are a kind, patient with your partner and careful when it comes to negotiations, partnerships, agreements. Make sure that you are very checking everything, your negotiations, when you enter negotiations, that you're very well prepared. When it comes to cases, court cases, that you're very well also prepared, so that you can, negotiate properly. But the Grand Trine is supporting all of these processes. Now we look at people who have Sidereal Sun in Capricorn or Moon in Capricorn. If you follow in modern tropical astrology, this is Aquarius. For you, Mars will be in September and October on your 6th house. Yes, Saturn makes trine from your 2nd house. In September, Venus makes square from Virgo, and in October, she's trining from Libra. Uh, roughly these are the timings. Now, this would say what? Be responsible for your health. Channel this energy properly, like how? Connect with nature. Inform yourself about, health, research and connection with nature, natural sciences. This would be very benevolent for you. And be responsible for your health. Stay away from conflicts, let's say, especially in your routine environment. Career wise, this can be benevolent actually, because this can be very productive for you. In September, be careful when you travel, when you communicate, when you negotiate. Be a little bit more careful, kinder with father figure. But in October, you will have better results related to finances and career. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Aquarius or moon in Aquarius, or if you're following modern tropical astrology, this is Pisces. Mars for you will be on your fifth house, house of the good fortune, benevolent house. This can make you, in a very good way, very driven to creative knowledge, to organize your um, let's say your creative activities, your talented work. If you are into um, talent, like if you are into some talented activity, if this is your occupation, this can be very good timing for you to organize children, your communication with children, to organize your finances. Um, in September, well, be a little bit responsible for how you communicate with partner. Financially, also make sure that you don't make impulsive decisions. But the timing, it would be very benevolent to research secret, occult. But in October, very benevolent for studies, communication, travel. So actually, this is it. And then people who have sidereal ascendant Pisces or moon in Pisces, or if you follow in modern tropical astrology, this is Aries. For you, Mars is on your fourth house. Make sure that you are caring and careful with parents. Make sure that you are diplomatic with, people who superiors, your career place, at home. This is small disharmony, a little bit more in September, but in October the situation is more harmonious. But in any case, make sure that until the end of this cycle, until end of October, you are caring with parents. Make sure that you have harmony at home. Also, financially, this is a benevolent aspect. In September, watch out also to be caring and in harmony with your partner. Make sure that when you negotiate, when you're doing agreements, and when you're in a partnership, also business wise with somebody, that you make all your decisions very wisely and based on your intuition, like carefully, and be responsible for your health. And a little bit when it comes to hidden enemies, be alert. But um, because of the trend between Saturn and Mars, even if there are some people who you call enemies, you will be able to win over them, over the situation, especially in October. But still be careful. Don't trust anyone, just everyone. Apply your intuition. The timing is wonderful for helping others, doing work of spending time on your own, spending spiritual time in the temple, let's say. But the timing would be productive when it comes to finances, especially in October, and will be supporting also eventual career growth. So this is about the ingress of Mars in Gemini, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this was useful. See you very soon next time. All the best to you.